question is, are the Ravens getting their money's worth on Lamar Jackson?
No.
The answer is no. The
No.
answer is no.
Lamar Jackson is officially out of excuses. Like, done. All of the excuses for Lamar Jackson, they're finito. Now you got Zay Flowers there, plus Rashad Bateman, plus Odell Beckham, plus Nelson Aguilar, plus Mark Andrews, plus J.K. Dobbins in the backfield. Lamar Jackson, in my mind, has been given more than any quarterback has been given since I can remember. Word. You could suggest Jaylen Herz was given just as much as Lamar Jackson. Huh? You could make the suggestion that Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, you could make that suggestion. Lamar Jackson is out of any possible excuse.
Lamar Jackson really hasn't had that many excuses made for him. Lamar's always been held to this very extreme standard because he is such an electric player. I mean, coming into the league after winning a Heisman, there were people saying he wasn't good enough to play the position. He just had to go through a lockdown, drag-out fight with his team that drafted him just to get paid.
It does not matter. 365 days a year, morning, noon, night. It really makes no difference. There is going to be somebody somewhere criticizing Lamar Jackson. There is not a day that goes by where I don't get on the internet and see someone criticizing or trying to diminish the accomplishments of what Lamar Jackson has done throughout his career. He has done so many things at the highest level, made some of the most athletic professionals look like children. But yet and still, we have to go through the rigmarole of hearing why Lamar Jackson is not elite. We have to hear why Lamar Jackson hasn't lived up to what people have built up in their minds. Now, to me, this seems a bit funny because he's held at a certain standard here, but he is not lifted up into the class of the top 5, top 3 quarterbacks that they deem the best. You measure him and his success in this category, but yet and still you don't place him there. Like, it makes no sense to me. And this does not come from just the other fan bases that don't like the Ravens or our rivals, or just particularly don't care for Lamar, or even the self-loathing Ravens fans that have so much to say about Lamar's successes and failures. It is, in all cases, the usual suspects. Changing their tune or getting with the times, playing that up-to-date music. They're stuck in the realm of, you need to do this and you need to look like that. But the times, they are changing. And this band, sooner or later, is going to have to play another song. And of course, you know exactly with whom I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of the Stephen A. Smiths, the Shannon Sharps, the Mike Florios, and depending upon which day of the week it is and which platform you catch him on, the Emmanuel Achos of the world. Because with him, you never know what take or what direction he's coming from. But yet and still, through all of the criticism, through all of the things that people have had to say about Lamar Jackson, here we stand in Baltimore with a 2-time MVP, reigning MVP at that. So with all of the accomplishments that Lamar has, all of the records that he has broken, we are still sitting here looking at a young man who is still being criticized. Where people still want to say, oh, he's a running back trying to throw the football. And legions of others who just does not believe that Lamar is quarterbacky enough to be that guy. Now, I don't know what you've seen, what highlights they've shown you, but if you watched Lamar throughout these seasons, you've watched him get it done. And in great deal without the supporting cast that these other quarterbacks have been surrounded with. But with success, of course, it's going to bring about your haters. It's going to bring about those people who are going to try to find the negatives in all that you do. But that's not the part that burns my britches, because everybody has a player they just particularly don't like. The thing that itches my craw and grinds my gears is the fact that, once again, there are other quarterbacks that you don't hold up to this standard. There are other quarterbacks that you say are better than Lamar Jackson, that you would choose before you would choose Lamar Jackson. But yet and still, when it comes to that measuring stick, they measure here and you measure Lamar up here. Doesn't seem right to me. You'll choose him. You do this all for some reason, and there is no logic into anything that you say. Either he has got to be the top or maybe the second in the quarterback tier ranking, because that's how you grade him. This is how you scrutinize him as one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the league. But yet and still, when you put your mountains on, when you do your ESPN rankings, when you put together your list, he's not in your top 5 for most people, but you rank him in top 5 level. Make this make sense. And all I want to know is, when will these other quarterbacks get scrutinized, criticized, and analyzed on the same level as Lamar Jackson, since we're talking elite quarterbacks? So what I am going to do in this video is take a look at 4 quarterbacks that got brand new contracts in the same offseason, but had varying different degrees and results with success coming after. But only one of these 4 is heavily scrutinized, criticized, and analyzed. One of these four is the most decorated of the group, but you may not believe that the latter two are the same person. And if you guess Lamar Jackson to both, you win a prize. We're going to look at all four of these quarterbacks and see what's really good, or to see if the experts have some type of agenda going on where they're trying to douse the flame that is Lamar Jackson. Lamar is held to a different standard, but is always listed behind all these other quarterbacks in the league. If others are better than Lamar Jackson, why are they not undressed when they fail as well? Don't tell me that Justin Herbert is a far better quarterback than Lamar Jackson, but make excuses when Justin Herbert gets to the playoffs one time in his career and fails. Okay, before we dive into the 2020 season of extensions for quarterbacks, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share with all your friends, hit that notification bell. Now, let's get back to this video. The first of the quarterbacks to get an extension during the 2023 offseason was Jaylen Herz, who signed a 5-year, $255 million extension. Herz was the only one of the four not to be a first-round pick and not have the 5th-year option available, so the Eagles got this deal done with 1 year left. Granted, in Hertz's second full year as a starter, he led the Eagles to a Super Bowl, made the Pro Bowl, and came in second in the MVP race. But then, after signing his extension, Hertz and the Philadelphia Eagles started to spiral at the end of the 2023 season. Philadelphia started the season 10-1 with impressive victories over the Miami Dolphins, the Dallas Cowboys, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Buffalo Bills. No one can explain what happened. Some think it's the offensive coordinator, some say it's the quarterback, some just say it's the predictability of this team. Or could it have been injuries? But the bottom fell out in Philadelphia. Then the Eagles finished the season 1-5 and unexcusably lost the Super Wild Card round against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. While the Eagles had a stranglehold on the division for most of the season, that collapse gave the Cowboys the division win and relegated the Eagles to the wild card spot. While there was not much team success for the Eagles, Jaylen Herz had a pretty decent season. Now, it was not the season that you would think of for someone signing a $255 million contract, but compared to some of the other quarterbacks we're going to talk about, it was a decent season. Jaylen Herz passed for 3,858 yards. He had 23 touchdowns passing and 15 interceptions. But not only that, he rushed for 605 yards and 15 touchdowns. That Philadelphia shove, it gets him in the end zone. So for me, the touchdown thing, it's going to come and go per season. I'm not really worried about that. I'm just thinking upon QB play and how your team performs once you get that big money contract. But some question Hertz a bit more than others, but the venom is not spewed towards him the way that it is Lamar Jackson. You may hear whispers here and there about what he's not doing or how he was a flash in the pan. No one comes at Jaylen Herz the way they come at Lamar Jackson. And to me, being in a Super Bowl does not excuse you from certain things. You are not absolved from criticism just like everyone else. But to me, I like Jaylen Herz, and I think that he is a pretty decent quarterback. So the next quarterback to get signed in the 2023 offseason was Lamar Jackson. But we will get to him later on, saving him for last, because it's a lot we need to discuss with Lamar outside of these other QBs. So after Lamar signed his contract, there was Justin Herbert. Justin signed a 5-year, $262.5 million extension. The 6'6", 230-pound QB, who has been described by most as the prototypical QB. He has the look, the stature, and the arm that most in the NFL looked for in years past, and maybe not in what the direction of quarterback is going in the future, but I digress to this. Herbert has rewrote some of the passing records for a quarterback within his first 3 seasons, putting up video game-like stats, even though he was not supposed to be the starter in his rookie season. He came out guns a-blazing and shook up the NFL world. Once again, the 2020 Rookie of the Year looked the part. He has mostly come up short when it mattered most. He looks like Tarzan, but plays like Jane when the lights are the brightest. He often has faltered when there was a playoff berth on the line or when he actually made it there during the 2022 season. His team blew a 28-point lead in the playoffs, but at least he looks the part, right? That's all that matters, is looking like the prototypical quarterback. Lamar Jackson gets criticized for his postseason resume, but at least he makes it there. When Lamar plays the majority of the season, the Ravens make it to the playoffs. Same cannot be said for Justin Herbert. And I know a lot of people people are going to say defense blew that 28-point lead, but did they really? Your defense was the reason why you were up 28 points because of all the turnovers that they got off Trevor Lawrence. All you had to do was take the short field and score. And that's what they did. But in the second half, when you didn't have your defense making these plays and they needed your offensive leaders to step up, what did Justin Herbert do? He shrank in the moment. So yes, I put this on the offense and I put it on their leading man. But if that were Lamar Jackson, we would still be talking about how he blew a 28-point lead in the playoffs. So miss me with all that noise. Now, the season after signing his extension, Herbert played in 13 games, going 5-8, throwing for 3,134 yards. He had 20 touchdowns passing, 7 interceptions. On the ground, he rushed for 228 yards and 3 TDs. I heard no questions about is he worth this money. The fourth and last quarterback to get an extension was Joey Burrow. And being the last to get one, of course, he got the most money. Burrow signed a 5-year, $275 million extension with 2 years remaining on his rookie deal. Joe became the highest paid QB and one of the cheapest owners in sports, like Brown. But it is not hard to see why he paid him when he did, because things were only going to get more expensive the longer he waited. In 4 seasons, Burrow changed the fortunes of this once proud franchise, even taking this team to the Super Bowl in his second year. He is the only quarterback in the league right now that has the upper hand on Patrick Mahomes, owning a 3-1 record against him, also winning 2 of those games in Arrowhead, 1 in the playoffs. So one could see the deal getting done. But let us look at the other side of things as well. In half of Joe Burrow's seasons in the NFL, he has left with season-ending injuries, once as a rookie and also this past season. In 2023, he was not only hurt once, he injured himself before the season with a calf injury, and then he had an arm injury that took him out for the remainder of the season. They love to talk about the 2 seasons that Lamar was injured, but they really never mentioned anything about Joe Burrow. Half his career, he ended it on a sour note, not even playing. But for those of you that are counting, that is twice in 6 seasons for Lamar and twice in 4 seasons for Burrow, with Lamar missing less games with having more seasons. Now, after signing his extension, Joey B played in 10 games, going 5 for 5 with 2,309 yards passing, go along with 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He had 88 yards rushing on the ground with 0 rushing touchdowns. A lot of that had to do with the calf injury that he suffered, guessing that he was trying not to re-aggravate it. But in contrast, Jake Browning played in 7 games while going 4-3, throwing at a 70% clip with 12 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He also rushed for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, I can't speak on it. Maybe, just maybe, with the weapons that he had around him, the owner was looking like, maybe I should have waited on that extension. But who's to say? And even as injury prone as Joe Burrow has been, I don't hear the pundits, the prognosticators, or the people on TV talking about how many seasons he's missed, or how he looked last season, or is he worth the money? Granted, he took the team to a Super Bowl, but is this enough to keep pushing forward? Like, how many times are we gonna go back and like, he took him to a Super Bowl in the second season, then he's missed time, and they haven't won. If this were Lamar Jackson, I guarantee you they'd be like, Super Bowl was 3 years ago. Why are we still talking about it? But being that it's not him, we let it slide and list this as one of the accomplishments why we don't talk down about Joe Burrow. A lot of people have Joe Burrow as their second-ranked quarterback in the league. I'm not saying that he's not good, and I'm not trying to down any of these other quarterbacks. The whole point to this video is look at what happened when these guys signed their extension and how they played after. There has only been one quarterback who's been questioned. Is he really worth the money that he was paid? I'll let you draw your own conclusion on that one. So there was nothing really special about these 3 quarterbacks after they signed their extension. But there seems to only be one quarterback who comes into question: the money that he got and how it equates to success in the NFL. And that one person is Lamar Jackson. So we are only going to look at Lamar's career starting from 2020, being that the other 3 quarterbacks began their careers in the NFL in 2020. We're going to give a solid baseline of equal number of seasons, debate about the 4 of them, so that nobody can say, well, he's got 2 extra years. This is an unfair comparison. We're only going to use Lamar after his MVP season. We're not even going to count that first one. But what we are not going to do is forget that Lamar had to prove himself over and over and over again, not just to the league, but also to the Baltimore Ravens. He did not get a deal done after his 3rd season like the rest of these quarterbacks. Didn't even get a deal done after his 4th. He had to play out his 5th-year option, then go into a long negotiation and battle with the team. So he has had to consistently prove himself and prove that he was that guy, build your franchise around. But still, he is held to a different standard when judging QB play today. Let us not forget, Ravens were not winning for Lamar Jackson. We can tailor make our speeches, say the defense is this great and the defense did that, but truth be told, defense has been good, not great for years. And the Ravens have done nothing until Lamar came in. But moving on from that, this past offseason, finally, Lamar signed a 5-year, $260 million deal to re-sign with the Ravens. This is the only QB not signing an extension because Lamar's deal was done. He was a free agent before signing his deal. Lamar helped the Ravens get to the playoffs in 2 out of the 3 past seasons. It would have been 3 out of the 3 had he not gotten injured. He was injured in 2 of those seasons, but he had the Ravens so far in front. But even with mediocre play, they still made it to the playoffs. That's how amazing Lamar Jackson is. Still, some question his value to the team, suggested that we would be better off with Tyler Huntley as our quarterback.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
But Lamar returned after signing his extension and was better than ever. Took the Baltimore Ravens to the AFC Championship game, where they fell to the eventual Super Bowl champions. He is the only one of the 4 quarterbacks to bring home some hardware in those 4 years. And not only did he do that, he did that after signing his big deal. In the 2023 season, Lamar led the Ravens to the best record in the league again. We're not going to talk about 2019. He demolished some of the best that the league had to offer. Lamar was a Pro Bowler, a first-team All-Pro, and once again, we're not counting 2019, league MVP. So all of these accomplishments came within that 4-year window, where his counterparts, some rank higher than him, not had or sustained the same success that Lamar has. Granted, they may have gone to a Super Bowl, we could have had one. Lamar individually, shown to be probably the best of the 4, receives the most criticism. The others get a pass by because they look a certain way, they talk a certain way. You get that pass that Lamar does not. My thing is this: either you put some respect on his name, or if you don't feel that he's good enough, stop judging him to that standard. All I'm asking. Another thing that just really gets to me is that with all of these questions, with all of this overanalyzation, they never talk about what these quarterbacks use to get it done. What have they had around them to help get them to this point? But once again, list all these quarterbacks that are better than Lamar. You judge them higher than the rest. Then you look at the talent level. We're not on equal playing field. I don't expect everybody to be equal, but sometimes you need to be close. Sometimes hit me off with a 60-40, 65-35. Don't have me at a 70-30 deficit and question me on why things go wrong. Lamar doesn't do that. He goes out and plays. So, let's take a look at what everyone has to work with. All things being equal. Since quarterbacks make receivers better and all. If that's the case, then why does everybody go out and get these number 1s? Let's just take a look how this works. So in Philadelphia, they gave Jaylen Herz, Devontae Smith, J. Brown, DeAndre Swift. And in this offseason, they got rid of DeAndre Swift and upgraded Saquon Barkley. Look at that. Justin Herbert had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and pretty good O-line. Joe Burrow had Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. Also had running back Joe Mixon. And each of the seasons, they did everything in their power to upgrade their offensive line. They brought in pieces to make the offensive line better because they knew that it was suspect. You're bringing in talent around talented quarterbacks. Novel idea. Let's take a look at Lamar. We're not going to get into the offensive line thing because even right now, we are 5th down in the O-line going into the draft. Not a good look. Let's just take a look at, you heard the names for the others. Let's listen to some of the things that Lamar had to work with. His VP run, during his dominant seasons. He's not good. He's not worth the money. Let's look at what he had to deal with. He had Sammy Watkins, Miles Boykin, James Prochet, Devin Duvernay, Alan Wallace, DeMarcus Robinson, Sean Jackson, and Andy Isabella. Lamar has clearly done so much more with so much less, but receives the most scrutiny. For what reason? I understand that bringing Lamar's name up gets you ratings, it gets you clicks, it has people putting eyes on you. But the only thing that I'm asking for is for you to shine that light on everyone else the way that you shine that light brightly on Lamar Jackson. Till next time, y'all, it's your boy.